Welcome to the Digital Insight podcast, where today we bring you the third and final installment of the Data Transformation Trilogy with Paul Bailo. In this episode, we look at data analytics, arguably the more sexier topic when it comes to data transformation. This is part 3 of the Data Transformation Trilogy, Data Analytics and Imagination, looking at the world of tomorrow. Obviously, Paul, welcome back to the show. This is obviously part 3 of our 3-part exploration of Data Transformation Trilogy. We've spoken about change management, we've spoken about talent and leadership, and today we're looking at kind of imagination and innovation, particularly from the sense of we spend so much time talking about change, we spend so much time talking about transformation, and as you said before we hit record, we spend a lot of time pinning things on the future because it's easier to talk about. But broadly speaking, then, from everything we've talked about data change, about transformation, rather than focusing on the future and what's going to happen, what we might see, what's happened? Where are we right now in terms of this kind of new world, as it were, that's been built up around the new lens on data analytics?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to my mind, El, is we're confused. I think the world is just confused about data, right? So you have one group of people who think about data as I got to collect all this data, right? So you have organizations, utility companies, oil companies, financial service companies. It's like, wow, data is the new oil, it's the new gold, and we got to collect everything, right? So you have that one group, but that mindset is really lacking because it doesn't really matter about the size of the data. It matters what those insights are. So you have that one group of people who are still thinking about, I just got to collect this data because I know it's going to be used. You have another group of people who say, yep, I'm going to use data and I'm going to scratch the surface, right? It's sort of very simple things that you're trying to do at a level sort of like an Amazon. You buy a book, it's sort of related to this book, and we're going to offer something else up, right? So a little bit more advanced. Then you have the group of people who are basically saying the world will never be the same. What we do today in terms of how we eat, how we think, how we exercise, how we use hospitals, in the future of everything will be radically changed. And we need to push that envelope because what we think about today will be radically different in terms of using and making decisions. The underlining platform is change, and massive change is going to happen because of data analytics, artificial intelligence, and new technology coming out there. But the golden goose of all of this in transformation is making better decisions. So even if you think about some of the new technology that's out there, like an Apple Watch, right? Now I could do mostly things that my normal physician, Dr. Chow, would do. I could do at home just on my Apple Watch. I could know how much oxygen is coming out of my body. I could figure out my heartbeat. I could even go buy a piece of equipment to do my EKG. And I could take all this data and I could have an artificial intelligence doctor tell me what's wrong with me. Never going to the doctor, never paying insurance, never really speaking to anyone who has an MD, but really just me and my artificial intelligence and data making a decision of what I need to do. So the future is really helping humans make better decisions because sometimes we make lousy decisions, right? So we're really, what I'm seeing is really this idea of data being my partner, right? It's like my seeing eye dog. It's a partner who's always there helping me get through life. Data is going to be there in the future in every aspect of my life to help me make better decisions, to have a better life. That's really what I'm seeing happening. So a perfect example would be is you talked offline a little bit about this virus. I mean, if we had sort of a greater tracking system and we all had, i.e., Apple Watches or a device to understand what our current health is, and we had that monitored across the globe, we would know what's happening in terms of people's healthcare before anyone else would know someone's getting the flu, someone is sick, someone has has any virus or any ailment before it really got to a high level. So what we really want to try to do is understand data doing predictions to really see the future before the future really gets there. That is really where I'm seeing a lot of organizations. Like it's like that crystal ball, right? The gypsy crystal ball, seeing what the future looks like is what I'm seeing is the pushing envelope of where we want to be. What is my bank account going to look like? What is my financial statements going to look like? What is my brokerage account going to look like? What is my life going to look like in the future? What is my healthcare going to look like in the future? What's my house and what am I going to need going to look like in the future? What are the sales for our financial institution going to be? So it's really looking at those levels of where we're looking to imagine how data could really help us. But the underpinning is really, what can I do with this? And like we talked, in our trilogy number two, it's really about having the right talent, right? There's just not enough talent. I mean, as you know, I teach at Columbia University in the Applied Analytic program. I mean, we're trying to build the future chief data officers around the globe. There's just not enough people in the talent pool to push this forward. So once we start building that out, right? You're going to see really these massive innovations of, wow, I've always had trouble doing ABC. Wow, I have this new idea that it's telling me I should be doing ABC. It's almost like, all the decisions that you have trouble trying to figure out, the data analytic world may help you. In other words, if you're going out with friends and no one can figure out where to go, the system may say, hey, Dale, this is where you need to go today, right? This is the restaurant everyone wants to go, right? You imagine you had an app. It took all your friends, their profiles and information, their geolocation, what they had to eat the last 3 weeks, and you just basically put it in and say, okay, where's a great place everyone's going to have a really good time at? And it will give you a list of restaurants to go to in the most appropriate places with the most appropriate food, and almost guaranteeing you that you would have a great time. That's what you want to try to be doing with data analytics. That's really the future. It's having these peak experience on a continuous basis without actually having to do a lot of the mental game work for it. There's a lot of people, I do a lot of volunteer work helping people in the job market, helping them with their careers. And there's so many people who are just confused about what they should be doing, confused about it. Really smart, highly intelligent people, but they're just confused about what they may want to do, what occupation. Imagine taking those critical components of what makes this person happy and marry it up in a way that would be almost a perfect match in a field that may exist today or may exist in the future, where you're marrying up their intellect, their beliefs of what they want to do in a role, and then marrying up to almost create a trajectory where they would be extremely happy in the field that they may never have thought about. Where data analytics comes in, it's really this orb of happiness. It's helping us make decisions to say, wow, I've never thought about that. I've never thought about that career. Because you're not taking in all these core components. You're sort of you're getting your degree, you're getting your education, you're having these experiences, and you have all these little micro trends. Data and data analytics can help you say, hey, Dale, this is the job for you. This is the career for you. So if we could do that on a mass level and predict what the trajectory of people's careers are, wow, that's fantastic. So data analytics is this crystal ball of telling us what the future looks like, but really telling us what those decisions will be. And as we talked before, the future is somewhere you go, right? It's somewhere where you're going to create this. When you even think about healthcare, right? You know, I'll be my doctor, I'll be my hospital in the future. I don't think necessarily going to need a primary physician, because a lot of what the primary physician could do, I could do with a data analytic operation. I could build the data. I could have my profile on a consistent basis, right? On a daily basis, I should be monitoring my health using artificial intelligence and cognitive computing to really say, hey, Paul, this is what your heartbeat is. This is what, your blood pressure is. This is what you need to do. Oh, by the way, you shouldn't be eating that food. You should be eating this food. You should be eating more vegetables. So it's a whole containment of my entire life. Having my health buddy, right? Having someone with me on my side, advising me throughout my life. The biggest growth area is robotics in terms of financial planning. The ability to build an algorithm to help with your financial planning, to help with your budgeting. I mean, I built a system and I'm sorry to say it back. I patented a system when I was at MasterCard called Mr. Buddy, which basically took over your financial life for you. I don't believe there's any value in paying bills, right? No one likes paying bills. It's a pain budgeting. But in the future, all you want to do is use data and analytics to find that luxurious, exciting job that you just love to do. And when you get paid, Mr. Buddy would come in and say, "Hey, Dale, just want to let you know you got paid today. So I paid the rent, I paid the car bill. Tomorrow is your mom's birthday, so I sent her a dozen roses. And there's a really cool tech stock. They just bought 100 shares for you. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks." What that's done for you is basically giving you all that mental time back. So you didn't have to be thinking about what to do with your money, because humans are emotional and we don't do a good job managing our money. So give it to a robotic system who understands your lifestyle, who understands your behavior, who understands what your financial goals are. And the system would be able to build this for you. Right. So once again, I put, it's my advisor, my financial advisor. It's not a human being. It's a robotic system taking my trends, seeing what my goals are, seeing my income, and managing it for me. When you talk about the future of work, it's the ability to harness the power of insights to do better work, to add greater value to the organization, because organizations just want better decisions. So you could have this same advisor in the boardroom trying to sort of help a third voice in the conversation to help advise CEOs and executives of what to do with the company. So the real thing that I see across the board is really this world of advisement in every aspect of our lives, both personally and also in the office too. That's just going to be a friend, someone to help you along the way. And then when you look at the future of work, I think it's massively going to change from what we currently do to what's going to happen down the line. I think it's going to be really some of the work that we do that adds no value. That's all going to go away. I mean, when you think about people working 9 to 5, probably 2 hours a day are really productive time. The other time is really filling in, right? It's, things getting to work and, all the stuff that adds no value. But I think what you're going to see is a truncation of time and using analytics to really make workers more productive and understanding where their peak times are and how do you take this great massive brain power and harness it to move the needle forward with these companies about innovation, about creativity, about marketing, about finance. And once again, the theme is they're going to have their advisor too. And that advisor is going to help them make better decisions, because it's, once again, it's like the daisy train to all these decisions. A life is about a bunch of decisions, and the key is to try to make a really happy, wonderful life.
And something that my immediate thought there and is that yes, of course, the benefits are very clear to see. Built on an algorithm, built on a data set and some analytics that understands everything about your past decisions, your current decisions to help predict your future decisions. It's obvious. It's obvious as to why this is a good thing and why this is going to, like you say, push the envelope and really unlock a better way of life for many. But particularly when it comes to finance and it comes to health, these are very personal issues that for many, they will always prefer that human part of it. So they will always prefer, as much as it's easier, as much as it's quicker to have, like you say, mom in a back pocket or like a powerful box that can give you the information you need. When it comes to those sort of sensitive things, people will always or will often prefer to have a human physical contact with someone so that they can kind of discuss these somewhat delicate conversations in a way that makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel secure, makes them feel at ease. Is that something that's going to not necessarily disappear, but people are going to have to kind of get over and embrace this newer way of doing it, or is there going to be some kind of I don't say a transition period, but a period of time where we're going to slowly move away from that kind of old, somewhat antiquated way of doing things as more and more companies, people, organizations embrace this algorithm, data-led way of doing things?
Yeah. So Dale, that's a fantastic question. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think most people care about the process more than they do about the person in the process. So there's a lot of things you could resolve. Like, let's use Amazon, for instance. If you have a problem with a product, that you bought from Amazon, it's pretty easy to return it. It's pretty easy to get your money back. And I'm never talking to a person. So sometimes we have to think about, does the human really enhance the customer service process? Or is it really easy that we just generate a process that makes me feel really good about it, and that I get what my goal of resolution, even though I may not realize there's no person there, that I could resolve these issues without having a human being. And I think what's really happening from my research is identifying the fact that people are more interested in getting the end result, right? So in other words, a simple thing is, in the morning, people may want to go to Starbucks and get their coffee. I don't think they care about the person who's making the coffee. I think they just want the coffee. I think if they could just sort of walk up like they're currently doing now and just grab your coffee and go, I don't think it really matters to a lot of people that's Mary, Mike, Joe, whoever building the coffee. I think it's the process that will emulate really good customer service. I think if you talk about really personal things, I think some people may feel more open to discuss healthcare issues with not knowing that it's not a person. That's just me and my personal advisor for healthcare. That, hey, I got these problems, as opposed to like, I don't want to talk about this, right? So it may actually work to the person's benefit that they may be more open and honest with not knowing that there's a person at the end. And I really think that, that it's really about the process. Like when you look at design thinking, it's really understanding the feeling of your customer and the empathy of what's happening to that customer during the process. But it's never indicative that they want to see a person. Like if you're going for a mortgage, if the system and the process is really simple and really easy, and you're feeling good along the process because the process is using data and data analytics in order to make it streamlined and very easy and understandable, I don't think people really care if there's a person there or not. I think they really just want what they want when they want, in a more efficient, effective way, without all these hiccups, without all these speed bumps. So I think we have to disconnect the process from the person, right? The process could actually be very, very rewarding for an organization because the process is so clean and simple. And when people enjoy the process and they finally realize, well, there's no person there, I think people accept that process. I think we've been trained that humans and emotion connect. I really think really good process with really good data analytics could have the same emotional feeling, as long as that process is founded in logic and data, and that we truly understand how this person's feeling at each point. And then when we think about this, you could really understand, with facial recognition, how I'm feeling. You could have sensors in the room to look at what's my heart rate, how am I feeling during this transaction. So you could get a better human connection and interpret what my body's telling you to elicit a better response, even though it's virtual and there's no human being. Even if we're using artificial intelligence and natural language, the way the system could talk to me could assess what my body's telling me, and then the way they're responding to me could really be personalized the way I want it to be told. I think we have to really think about cutting the umbilical cord with great customer service and people. I think it's really great process that is highly intelligent, leveraging the ability of data analytics and the idea of using design thinking in this model to see the future of what customer service really looks like and what the future of data analytics looks like. And happy customers mean really good, efficient data analytics with a really good process.
And final question for you then. You talked about then this kind of future generation. You've talked about obviously the teaching you do at Columbia in terms of you are teaching, coaching, mentoring the future data officers, the data executives. As much as, like you say, it's talking about this disconnect and this cutting the umbilical cord of the people from the process, obviously there's still going to be, if anything, that places more power and more responsibility on the hands of those data analysts, those data officers in the future. Um, kind of tell me, so I'm trying to think of it, how important is it then to be kind of understanding that as much as it's going to be algorithm based, as much as it's going to be process based, there still needs to be a human being who makes that algorithm, who can understand that algorithm, who can make sense of that algorithm, but also not kind of talking down the significance of the algorithm is kind of going to be the key to all of this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you have to have good people no matter what. People, there's good people and bad people. People make good decisions. People make bad decisions, good decisions and bad decisions. But I think at the heart of it, you have to have really good people. You have to have really good people who try and do the right thing. And to your point, when you make a world of algorithms using machine learning and artificial intelligence, you have to constantly monitor it. You have to, secure it. You have to prioritize it, and you have to constantly watch it. And I think you have to watch it with a good heart, and knowing what you may be doing is impacting potentially millions, if not billions of people. So your point's very valid, right? So the goal is not to build, not to develop disciples of really good data analytics, but the goal is to build really good people who understand data analytics and who will be the future in this world. So it's really hard in mind trying to connect the two and selecting the right people who have the moral values in playing in this world of data analytics and really understanding the power that they're going to have as they develop these systems. But you're absolutely right. There's no replacement for really good people who have empathy for other people, who understand people and have a really good heart and try and do the right thing. I don't think there's any replacement for that. I think we could try to mimic it and stuff, but I think really, the core of building really good things are really good people who understand that they're humans, that they have heart, minds, and souls, that they have feelings, that they care about people, that they love people, that goes into their algorithm, and that it's safe and secure. I mean, that's critical.
And sort of final bonus question then. If we were to kind of catch up, if we were trying to kind of catch up, this time next year, we sort of kickstarted another trilogy where we look at kind of data transformation from 2022 onwards. What do you think? I mean, you can't obviously predict what the next 12 months are going to look like, but what do you think, or what do you hope to see happen over the next year with regards to this data transformation conversation, with regards to people's, touching past on the previous two episodes, change management conversation, the leadership conversation, and obviously the imagination conversation. What do you hope that you're going to start to see in the next year?
Yeah, I imagine a world in 12 months that my doctor would be 24/7, and then I would be almost my own doctor. I see that now. I imagine a world where my decisions in finance are actually, multiplied by 10, being more productive and efficient. I could see that happening in the next 12 months. I see the ability to be more fit, have more exercise, and having that exercise component of my life being monitored, not just, say I took a walk or sit on a scale. I imagine really the future in the next 12 months that you're going to have a lot more fit people because they're going to have instruments like Fitbits and more Apple Watches monitoring health. I see that. And also imagine a world that when I open the refrigerator is going to tell me exactly what to make. It's no longer I'm hungry, let me go look at the refrigerator. I see this happening in the next 12 months. I also see in the next 12 months that the future of work is really going to be rationalized because of this virus. And it's not just you're working wherever you want and you're remote. I see a world where people are going to realize what they're doing doesn't add a lot of value, and this idea of working Monday through Friday really is going to be just dismissed. I think it's really going to be paid for what value you bring, what new ideas do you bring. So we should really talk about having like this whole idea of future of work and what's going on, because it's really going to change. So I can imagine healthcare radically be changing in 12 months. I could see personal financial advising radically be changing in 12 months. I could see organizations, I wouldn't use the word radical, but I can imagine a world of work that's not based off of Monday through Friday, or even that there's an 8 or 10 hour day. I see it more value based. I could see a world where people are realizing that a lot of what they're doing doesn't add value, and they're really spending more time, more human time with the family and the nucleus of the family, and not worrying about work and payments. But I see a much better world in the next 12 months. And not just because saying the virus will be, dismissed. I just see that people are realizing that what we're really spending a lot of time doing really adds no value to anyone's life. and we have too much stuff and we're wasting a lot of time. And we have this true opportunity using data and data analytics to build not only our lives better, but to build a better world on things that really matter. And we haven't even talked about using data and data analytics to help clean up the world. That's a whole different discussion, and deforestation and climate control. I mean, that's just massive. So 12 months, I close my eyes, I'd imagine a much happier world where people are really understanding that it's more fun just to have a cup of tea with a good friend, at a cafe and laughing and crying and enjoying their world, as opposed to paying bills. It's the imagination is rampant, but I could see massive change happening in the next 12 months, but we have more to go. There's much more we need to be doing.